passed up on the stair. We spoke of was and when, although I wasn't there. He said I was his friend, which came as some surprise. I spoke into his eyes. I thought you died alone a long, long time ago. Oh no, not me. I never lost control. Your face to face with the man who sold the world. I laughed and shook his hand and made my way back home. I searched for foreign land. For years and years I roamed. I gazed and gazed, he stared at all the millions here. We must have died alone a long, long time ago. Who knows? Not me. We never lost control. Your face to face with the man who sold the world. Oh no, not me. We never lost your face to face with the man who sold the world.
Alright, there we go. That should be working now. Zinky?
Yep. What's up?
There you go. So, the sound's working now. It's live.
The stream is live?
Yep.
Because I don't see it on your channel.
It's definitely streaming.
Okay, sure, I see it. Alright. So did you give your opening statement?
Yeah, sure. I think someone else wants to join. Give me a minute.
Okay, sure.
I'm just going to send you someone's name and just invite them on the stream. Just invite them in the call, I mean. Oh, shit. All right. Do you want to say something while I'm waiting to get them on?
Oh, what's up? Oh, fuck. I thought you were inviting and then we did the statement.
Yep, I'm just waiting. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'll do the statement then. All right. What's your position first? I didn't hear it.
Wait a sec. I've just realised I need to create a group DM, so I'm gonna move this to a group.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. What's up?
Hello.
I swear to God, I've got my mouse on the kick button.
I really can't blame you, to be honest.
How you doing?
I'm fine. Why did you leave my server, you faggot?
Oh, because the discussion was too much for me. No, but seriously, this is about trade wars. And I'm probably going to be going over the Donald Trump EU fiasco as well. But anyway, did you want to say something?
Well, I mean, I just wanted to know you guys' position. Okay, why can I hear the stream in the background? Okay, there you go.
Because you probably got the tab open, you know.
Yeah, no, that's it. I found it. Anyways, so, yeah, Fire, what's your position on this, personally?
What, well, I don't really have a position. I don't really have I want to see the EU kicked into the dirt as much as possible. But
Okay.
I don't actually care about the EU, but my hope really is that it's a bit of a pipe dream, but my hope is that Donald Trump is going to offer some kind of deal to the UK in regards to steel that he was hinting at about a year ago. And if he does do that, then it'll be a spit in the face of the EU, and it'll also be a new partnership between the US and the UK.
Yeah. All right. Well, personally, if you don't know, I'm Canadian, right? And I think this is pretty fucking stupid. Because I think that the US and Canada relationship is like, it's not Canada is not a national security concern. I think that's just a stupid idea. I think that our partnership has just strengthened both countries, and that dissolving it for what I consider not really based in reality is not a good idea.
Here's the thing, right? Here's something you need to realize.
Right.
The US doesn't need you. You need the US.
Okay.
As far as the US could really care, you people can go fuck yourself in the ass, frankly.
Oh, by the way, just to say, you're Israeli. Wolfram is an Israeli.
I'm Israeli.
Okay.
Here's the thing, right?
Right.
Your entire economies, like every single economy in the EU, in and of itself, and the EU economy as a whole, is maintained pretty much solely by the US's protection of trade routes internationally, and in Europe specifically. It's maintained by things like NATO that the US is funding, and the thing is, your ability to trade rests entirely in the hands of the US. So when you say, yeah, the US should stay in a positive relationship with us, that's fine for you. But if they don't need you, then you're going to have to give them a reason to care.
Well, I'm not in the EU, so I guess
the EU will have to.
Yeah, but I think we're talking Fire in this case. But
yeah, if I just want to say something quickly. Also, I might sound a bit stuffy because I've got a cold as well as Zinky. But basically
No, it's just your voice.
Fuck off, cunt. Canada is a little bit like the EU in this circumstance because at the end of the day, it's not only that Canada has a massive land border the US that it needs to rely on for that kind of trade, because the Canada does actually do a lot of exporting to the US, but it's a little bit like Scotland as well, because Scotland relies on a lot of specialized kind of food, not food. What would you call them?
Specialty
Specialized
products.
specialized.
Emergency biscuits.
No. What would perishing products? That's it. And such. But it also
Okay.
has, Scotch, which is a national symbol. Things like syrup, for example, in Canada, novelty items that are actually still massive in basis of export value. But the US exports more useful and integral resources to Canada than it gets back, and I think that's the basis on which forms the relationship between the two. And I do think that Donald Trump is not being unfair by pointing out that Canada has definitely been benefiting a lot more in their trade relations, and that he's basically at the moment trying to put America first. And while that will deteriorate relations slightly between Canada and the US, that doesn't mean that it isn't unwarranted.
Well, the only reason that it would deteriorate the relationships is because, for some reason, pretty much every country in the world right now is in this weird position where they think that the US owes them something.
Well, it's just they're a bunch of racists. They owe everyone something. It's reparations. Didn't you know that?
I see.
They owe the
Yeah.
British reparations as well for trying to be independent.
Yeah.
We should be invading them to enforce our porn laws.
That is literally the most backwards logic I've ever heard. You oppressed us, therefore we owe you reparations.
Oh god, no! But seriously, I was actually looking at there was an incident that happened with the Falklands, right? I can't quite remember when, but I was looking over it. It was in class in business studies, and we was looking at basically the Falkland Islands. They don't get very much produce from the UK because obviously, it's a little bit too far away to have a healthy export-import relationship. But Argentina is their prime benefactor, basically. And when Argentina completely cut off the Falklands, the British went to the extent of setting up a militarized trade line all the way from fucking Birmingham in the UK to the Falkland Islands in the South Atlantic. And I think that kind of mentality of being impractical to save one's pride is a mentality that the Americans have as well. And it's why you can't really best the Americans when it comes to a trade war, because they're always going to want to win more than their competitors.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
Because they have, let's just say they have a lot more to be proud of at the moment than the EU, for example. I mean, I don't even have to remind you of the idiotic laws that are in their final stage in Europe at the moment.
Haven't they just passed, actually?
They're not passed yet. They've the EU calls a little bit like the British, where it passes, but it has to pass like a few more times. This is the final pass. It's got another pass to go, and then that's it. It's like royal assent now, basically.
Oh yeah, you have these things too where it has to pass like 3 times.
Yeah, it means that
We have that as well.
it's a good system, but at the end of the day, if your entire parliament is for this bill, it doesn't matter how many times it passes through. It's always going to just go straight through.
Right, yeah.
But back to the topic anyway. What do you think has spurred Donald Trump to do this? Do you think it's the trade deficit that he has with our country?
I don't think a trade deficit, because I think the idea of a trade deficit being a bad thing is not even right. Because I mean, the U.S. right now, what they're tariffing in Canada is steel and aluminum, which you can't say is useless, because the U.S. does have an enormous production of steel and aluminum, but they still need a little bit more. We have a lot of natural resources in Canada. We can process it in steel mills and in aluminum mills that you see mostly in Ontario and Quebec, right? And they send it to the U.S. So personally, I don't really see what he's going after Canada for. I think he wants to better the U.S. and make a better trade deal for his own country at the expense of Canada.
I think that if I can just quickly add, I believe that the US produces about 40 million tons? I think it's 40 million tons of steel a
Yeah, it's a
year,
ridiculous
and it
amount.
requires 90 million. So it does actually have to import steel, and steel is very important for the restructuring of the infrastructure. A lot of that's actually going on at the moment as well. They're using a lot more steel than they usually would, but generally they can't. America can't sustain itself without imports. But I don't believe he wants to be an isolationist, but I do believe that he wants to make trade less pitted against the Americans, I suppose. In the Americans do make a lot of money off of trade, but at the end of the day, a lot of the people they trade with or have free trade deals with are benefiting because they end up lessening their taxes so that the actual producers in America come to their countries, like Mexico, for example. I think a lot of cosmetic producers from America have gone to Mexico because of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously
frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if it has to do with morale and
the timber industry as well. Oh yeah, morale definitely. I mean this is definitely for just a normal working class person in America, seeing him take this to the white Mexicans.
The man.
Yeah, the white Mexicans, to the snow diggers. He's really taking it to them. This is probably a big thing for them.
The snow diggers.
Yes.
In Mexico, there's less snow in Mexico than there is in Israel.
Yeah, I'm talking about Canada, you idiot.
Who's Rolf from?
Fucking retard. But yeah, I remember someone calling the Canadians snow niggers, so I just remember that. I better keep my mouth shut though, because I could get arrested for that.
No, the snow niggers are from Finland.
It's both.
No, the Canadians are maple niggers.
Oh yeah, true. Actually, I better stop saying the N word before I get arrested because this is a public stream.
N-word, yeah.
The N word, the big N word.
I better not call any of my members of parliament Nazis, or else I might get arrested.
I better not say I wouldn't rape any of my members of parliament, otherwise I get arrested for that as well. Oh, just a bit of trivia for anyone watching the stream. That picture on the stream, that is Sargon of Akkad, a British political YouTuber. Paul Joseph Watson, a writer for what is it? What was
the name? Sargon of Akkad?
Sargon of Akkad, I said. Carl Benjamin, his name. Paul Joseph Watson. Who did Paul Joseph Watson write for?
Who? I don't know.
I think he writes for Rebel. But anyway, and that's
No, retard. No, Paul Joseph Watson writes for InfoWars.
Oh, InfoWars, yeah. And that's Gerard Batten in the centre. They have their arms around Gerard Batten, the leader of UKIP. And this was after a bit of controversy on Twitter because people accused them of not joining UKIP. And there they are with the leader of UKIP in a picture at a hotel.
Let's see. Actually, hold on. Can you give me a link to the
I'll post it in chat, yeah.
Yeah.
1 second, give me a moment.
It's taking too long. I'm losing interest. Yep, that's it. I don't care anymore.
I have over 20,000 images in my memes folder. So
Britannia.jpg.
Yes, I had to name it that.
Britannia rule the way.
All right. Anyway, okay, we're getting a bit too off topic now. I think that there's also something interesting to look at with the trade relations in the Middle East. Have you guys heard about Saudi Arabia saying they're going to literally turn Qatar into an island?
You're going to start laughing every second, aren't you?
What?
You're going to start laughing at any second now, aren't you?
No, just if you don't believe me, right? They're literally cutting Qatar off of the mainland and turning it into an island.
Oh, are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious. They're
making. Man, that's amazing.
A 200.
You know what?
Listen,
we should follow their example and do the same for Gaza and California.
No, listen, 200-mile wide canal that will cost $750 million, and they're doing it just to spite them.
That's amazing, dude. That is amazing. You know what? If the Saudis do that, then I will unironically have respect for them.
But
I-
seriously,
I-
what
I'm
you guys?
not joking. Qatar is literally one of the scummiest countries on the face of the planet.
Isn't it
And
the slave
I would
state?
be very glad for them to be separated by a 12-mile wide canal.
200 mile. 200 mile.
200! Oh,
Yes.
wow. Holy shit.
Anyway, listen,
Oh,
Snuggles,
dude.
listen.
Yeah.
I've read up on
Who's
this today.
Snuggles? I don't know who that is.
Oh, Wolfram, yeah. Wolfram. Who is Snuggles? I've been looking up
Oh, yeah.
Qatar's economy. Apparently, over half of their economy relies on exports. And that's not exports of products. That's actually service exports. So that's people
So
that
like
are
tourism?
yeah, I think such as that, and actual people who are moving to the other countries in the peninsula to make money and then bring it
Holy
home.
shit. Imagine your economy being being composed half of just people leaving your country.
Well, Qatar isn't that big of a place, to be honest, compared to its neighbours, and it does rely on imports, and I'm struggling. I mean, you know that 200-mile wide canal. This is just hearsay, but apparently the Saudi media, well, not apparently, they did say this. The Saudi media said that there would no Qatari ships would be allowed in it, so that the Qataris wouldn't be allowed to use it as some kind of like efficient export. Oh my god, they're even okay. The Saudis are making a nuclear waste site there and a military base.
No way, dude!
Yes,
You're
yes,
joking.
yes,
Christ.
yes. Way they're literally building a nuclear dump site there. They literally said that.
Dude, oh my fucking god, that is
There's not, but the
I
government
love
has.
Saudi Arabia now.
Okay, the government has not confirmed anything, but there's been a fucking contest for the best canal diggers, the best canal digging companies. Like, I'm not being funny, but
precious.
the Saudi Arabians know how to get away with human rights and international law abuses. You know, if they don't confirm anything, they can't be accused of anything.
Aren't they
But-
sitting on top of the human rights tribunal or whatever?
No,
Yeah.
the woman's right, isn't it? Or is it?
Oh,
Is it human?
no, I think it's the Human Rights Committee.
Yeah, they're on top, and that's why the U.S. left. Or some
Anyway,
shit.
we are wildly off topic. Do you think they'll be able to recover from that?
Can the Qataris? Hopefully not.
Yeah. They are the
Probably not,
slavers.
I mean,
Are they the
well, here's
slavers?
the thing, right? Here's the thing. Imagine this. So if the Qataris are going to be separated by a 200-mile wide canal,
200 miles.
then that would mean that all the people who go there for tourism and go like around, like to other places, are not going to go to Qatar anymore. They're
Well,
just gonna stay-
you're forgetting about the wait a second. You're forgetting about the nuclear dump site as well. People don't like to go on holiday to that. I mean, there's even I forgot about this actually. Apparently, the Saudis are. I'm being legit. This was on the. There was some links on Twitter that I clicked, and it was to Al Jazeera and some Saudi news media sites that were translated. They're going to build a beach resort on the strip, and like a port and everything. Like the Saudis are going to make a lot of money out of this, and the Qataris aren't even allowed to use the water.
Jesus Christ.
Dude, that is so.
We should do that
amazing.
to- We should do that to Northern Ireland and Ireland, like just separate them with water.
We should do that to California.
To be honest, a 200-mile wide canal is fucking huge. That's fucking
yeah.
ridiculous. That's like, how big is Britain? I swear it's only like about 1,000 miles tall. That's just crazy.
200 miles is basically half the length of Israel and about 10 times the width.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
It's
check those numbers again because the
I think it's 200 miles long. That makes
yeah,
more
maybe,
sense.
but still, it'd have to be pretty big. You know how big Qatar is, still on its
Yeah.
own as a country. But anyway, I think that Qatar is a tourist destination. Not that it is, to be honest, it's not really a big Western destination for tourism apart from in America. But this will really put a nail in the coffin of the tourism industry there if there's going to be a nuclear dump site. But
I don't know, man. The Japanese might like it.
oh yeah, the Japanese are fucking it might remind them of home, eh? But
Yeah.
there's an interesting it's quite an interesting thing I wanted to go over quick. It's not about trade war, but that picture I posted in chat. Do any of you? I don't know if any of you are familiar with British politics, but do you think that UKIP will, if Tommy Robinson comes out of prison, right? Well,
He
when he
won't.
does,
No, he won't.
yes, he will.
No,
He's already
mate,
getting
he's gonna
assessed.
get murdered.
Mate, he's already getting assessed for good behaviour.
Mate,
So-
he's gonna get murdered the moment he sees him.
No,
What's
no, he's not.
Yes, he fucking is.
He already got put in. He's already internal exclusion. He's fine. He's fine.
Oh,
He's
is he
gonna be
okay?
all right.
Well, he might make it then. That's
Yeah, he's fine. Don't worry. But anyway, when he comes out, right? Do you? I really don't think this government's going to risk riots because that would what would be happening. Do you think that if the UKIP party allows him to join, which they have been talking about doing, do you think that there'll be a massive surge in members to the party?
probably.
I see it as probably the Tommy Robinson fans and the UKIP fans are kind of like one and the same. Well, at least they have a lot of similarities. So it's probably you're gonna see a surge in numbers, but not like a massive surge in numbers.
What do you think about the? Yeah, good point. But what do you think about the whole fiasco? Thing?
I didn't read into it that much, so I wouldn't be comfortable giving my opinion honestly.
Yeah, it's fine. I
What
already know your
fiasco?
opinion, Wolfram. I was talking about the fiasco with Tommy being arrested, and my
Oh.
opinion on it, by the way, just to say, is that he was justly arrested, but the actual infrastructure that allowed his arrest, the what qualifies as blind justice in Britain, it's not something that can just be changed very easily. It's something that's going to take a very long time to change. I think that the system in America is a lot better, really, for segregating people and letting them do their trial without using their phones and stuff like that. What about you?
Here's the thing, right? I don't think that saying literally, except if it risks national security, should be a crime.
Well, my problem is that the actual judiciary of this country has been crafted in a way in which that is what blind justice is defined as. Like, it's very annoying because obviously there is this that you do have to understand that when it comes to blind justice, we don't want to risk the children having to come and give evidence again and having to have their information spread when they especially because there's a lot of Muslims who have it in for them for getting their friend in prison. But something to consider is that while in my opinion, it's a very poor legislation art, there's nothing we can really do about it at the moment in terms of because it would basically cause more harm than good if we was to complain about this legislation and not have a proper substitution. I don't think we'll ever actually get rid of this definition of blind justice because it's inherent to the English law system.
I think you're 2 steps ahead of where you should be. Before you worry about blind justice, you need to worry that you have justice at all.
Well, no, I'm not.
Which you don't.
I'm not. Yeah, I understand that. I understand the country's shit, but I'm just making a point on that. We're not talking about that. I can go on for hours about how awful my country is, but at the end of the day, it's not helping anything by preaching to the choir. This is something that not a lot of people actually understand, and they're making arguments that he should be freed from prison when at the end of the day, what he did was a crime. And it's not that it was